Hey guys, it's Lano here. In today's video, we're going to be learning about Hiragana and Katakana, some things you should know about them, the additional sounds that exist, and how you can learn them all. By the end of this video, you should have an understanding of the writing and the speaking systems of the Japanese language and be ready to go straight to the Kana deck that I shared with you guys in my Anki tutorial and just grind that out and learn everything in there without any problem. But before we get into that, I have a special announcement for you guys.
Attention!
Today, I'm announcing the special launch of my Discord server, Lano's Domain Expansion. And yes, for those who watch anime, that is a Jujutsu Kaisen reference.
Brother, this guy stinks!
I made this server so that I can be closer to you guys. I also wanted to make a space where people who are learning the Japanese language could gather and help each other out, share resources, immerse together and help each other out. I'll be hosting community game nights, movie nights, study sessions, anime nights, and so on. So if you want to be part of all of that, go down into the link in the description and then join the Discord server via that link. Now, without wasting any more of your time, let's get straight into the video. Alright, let's recap first. For those doing the AJAP method, our last video was about phase 2, remembering the kanji, and now we're moving on to phase 3, which is remembering the kana. And for those following the refold method, we are still on stage 1B, learning the building blocks. So let's get started. Japanese has two original scripts that are referred to as a whole as kana. These two scripts that are referred to as kana are called Hiragana and Katakana, and they both represent the same sounds. And by that I mean, if I wanted to write the sound a in Japanese, I could write it either this way in Hiragana or this way in Katakana. Hiragana is the main phonetic system in the Japanese language. By that I mean, if you learn Hiragana, you should be able to pronounce every sound in the Japanese language. And because of that, it should be the first script that you learn before you start learning katakana and kanji. There are 46 distinct Hiragana characters that are fairly easy to learn. The table on the screen right now shows the entire Hiragana syllabary categorized by consonant and vowel sounds. The sounds shown in brackets on the chart are the ones that are the exceptions in pronunciation. To understand this chart, let's start from the right hand side. As you can see, it says A, I, U, E, O. As we move from right to left of the chart, each column represents a consonant sound with each of the 5 vowel sounds. So the next column you can see Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, Ko. And the next is Sa, Shi, Su, Se, So, and so on. As I said earlier, Hiragana and Katakana represent the same sound, which means that Katakana has the same number of characters as Hiragana. The only differences between Hiragana and Katakana are, number 1 is their appearance. Hiragana has more cursive characters, whereas Katakana has more sharper characters with fewer strokes. The second difference between Hiragana and Katakana is what they're used for. Hiragana is used to write the Japanese language, so vocabulary that's originally from Japan, whereas Katakana is for foreign words, words that are not originally from Japan. For example, words like McDonald's, Lionel, Starbucks would all be written in Katakana and would be pronounced Rayoneru, McDonald's, and Starbucks. So once you've learned Hiragana, all you have to do is learn a different way in which those sounds from Hiragana can be written in Katakana. Now I'm going to teach you some things that you should know and remember. When it comes to Katakana, many of the characters have very few strokes and very straight lines. Because of that, many of the characters look very similar, so you have to be careful when learning them. And stroke order is quite important when it comes to writing Katakana. For example, if you look at the sounds for tsu, shi, and n in Katakana, they look pretty similar, right? That's why it's very important for you to pay attention to stroke order, which is the order in which you draw the strokes, and also make sure that you're writing the strokes in the right direction. Number 2. The Hiragana and the Katakana character representing the sound for hair look exactly the same. You shouldn't be too confused, just know yes they look exactly the same and they are the same. So yeah, you're not tripping. Number 3, even though the foreign words written in Katakana sound quite similar to their English counterpart, does not mean you should get lazy and pronounce it as you pronounce it if you're speaking English. For example, the word America. In Japanese, it's pronounced America. Now, if you were to say I am an American person, in Japanese you would say Watashi wa Amerika-jin desu. You would not get lazy mid-sentence and then just say Watashi wa Amerika-jin desu. Make sure you learn the Japanese pronunciation of the words. Number 4, if you're finding everything that I've said so far easy to understand and helpful, make sure you just hit the like button so that you can push out my video to other people and you can help your neighbor become Jozu in Nihongo.
Alright, so y'all just seen that corny ass shit.
Number 5, In Japanese, there are no spaces, and that's why hiragana, katakana, and kanji are all important to the Japanese language. The reason why they're important is because they help you see where one word stops and another word starts. Here's an example of a Japanese sentence that uses all three writing systems that we've learned about so far. It says, "Watashi wa internet de nihongo o benkyou shite imasu," which means I am studying Japanese on the internet. Now look at the same sentence without katakana or kanji. It's pretty hard to understand, right? Or to read, or to tell where one word starts or where another word ends. Number 6, for this character right here, it's pronounced hu. It's a mixture between fu and hu. It's pronounced by blowing air between your lips and then letting the air pronounce the f sound.
But what?
So it's hu, not fu as in kung fu, but hu. Hence why the hu character is part of the ha, hi, hu, he, ho group, which is the H consonant column in the table that I showed you earlier. And the 7th and the last thing to note is that the character for so can be written in 2 ways, like this or like this. Either way is acceptable, it's really just up to your preference. Now this part of the video is going to be about the additional sounds that both hiragana and katakana both have. So earlier I told you that hiragana and katakana both have 46 distinct characters that each represent a sound. So a, I, u, e, o, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, and so on as you go through each column on the table that I showed you earlier. On top of these 46 single characters, there's some additional sounds that can be made if you add certain marks onto the characters. First, let's talk about voiced sounds. These are sounds made with vibrations. A voiced sound can be made by adding 2 dashes on the top right corner of a hiragana or katakana character. For example, the character ka. If you add 2 dashed lines to the top right of that character, it will now be pronounced ga. So the K will become a G. So ka, ga. And the same goes for ki, ku, ke, ko, gi, gu, ge, go. For different hiragana and katakana sounds, adding the 2 dashed lines create different sounds. For example, adding the dashed lines to the ta character makes it become da, so with a D rather than a T. Ta, da. The next additional sound that we have is semi-voiced sounds. These are created by adding a little circle on the top right of the H consonant characters in hiragana and katakana. So remember how earlier I was telling you about ha, hi, hu, he, ho? If you add a little circle to the top right of those characters, they then become pa, pi, pu, pe, po. Easy to understand, right? Simple, let's move on. Don't worry right now if you don't understand everything that I'm saying right now. The point of this video, and also my purpose here, is not to teach you every single sound in the hiragana and katakana writing system and the additional sounds. My job here is to give you an idea, just the gist of the additional sounds and ways that the characters can be written. So when you go and start going through the Kana deck that I shared with you guys in the Anki tutorial, it'll be very easy for you to go through them without having any problems. It will be Anki that will be helping you learn every single additional sound and Kana character. The next additional sound that we have are the Y vowel sounds. These are sounds that are made by combining a consonant plus E Kana character with a ya, you, or your sound. These are written by adding a small sized ya, you, or your character next to the consonant plus E characters. So pia, hia, mia, mio, nya are all Y vowel sounds. There's obviously more, but then as I told you earlier, you're going to learn all of those through the Anki deck. The next additional sounds are the hard consonant sounds. This is like a hard stop in a word, and it's represented by a small tsu hiragana or katakana character. For example, the word hito means person in Japanese. By adding a small tsu character between the hi and the to, it will then become pronounced hito. So do you hear the difference? And hito means hit, as in hit in Japanese. So can you hear the difference? There's hito, which is person, and there's hito. You hear the difference? Hito, hito. That's what the small tsu does when you put it between the hi and the to. It's like a hard stop. And there's more examples like that. For example, toraku, zashi, which means magazine, kappuru, which means couple, and so on. The next additional sound is the long vowel sounds. This is basically the extending of the vowel sounds in Kana. This can be done using a, I, or u characters. Which of these is used depends on the ending vowel of the preceding Kana character. this table that should be on the screen right now should show you the combination. For example, if you want to extend the ka sound ends in the a vowel, which means that to extend that sound, you'd write ka and you'll put that a after it and it will then become ka. For ke, you would use the e character and it would be pronounced ke. Not ke, but ke. One thing you should know is that you should hold the extension of the vowel sound for the full length of both characters, because there's many words that are quite similar and only differ by the length of the vowel sounds. For example, koko, which means here, and koko, which is high school. Do you hear the difference? Koko and koko. More examples of extension of the vowel sounds are words like gakse, sensei, and arigato. When it comes to katakana, it's much easier to extend the vowel sound. All you use is a dashed line. For example, in the word ramen, the a in ra is extended and using the dashed line. The final additional sounds are the katakana sounds. There's some foreign words that Japanese people cannot pronounce. So in order to get a sound close to the English pronunciation, there's some additional sounds that are made with the combination of katakana characters, which again, the Anki deck will teach you. And you'll also learn them as you learn those specific words. For example, in the Japanese language, there's no sound for F. And the closest sound to F is the Fu sound, used in words such as fuji and futon. But then this leads to problems converting foreign words such as fork, because there's no for sound in the Japanese language. To solve this, they use small vowel sounds. For example, a small o sound can be attached to the fu character to make the sound for in fork. Now let's move straight to my laptop quickly so that I can show you guys how you will actually go about learning hiragana and katakana and all of these additional sounds that I've explained to you up until now.
So here we are on Anki on my laptop. Now, first thing I'm going to say, those who have got to this part of the video and still don't know what this app is that I'm looking at, they don't know what Anki is, they don't know how to get this deck, the Kana deck that I'm about to explain, you already know what I'm going to say. I'm about to shamelessly plug my own Anki tutorials. Go and watch my Anki tutorials and then you should end up with Anki looking like this, the app and the right decks that I have in front of me. Now, okay, so for those already up to date who've been following all my YouTube videos, this whole Japanese course, you already know. Let's get started. Okay, so the deck you're going to need is the Kana deck, which is right here. Yep. So the second thing I'm going to say is that what you're going to do next depends on your language goals. With technology improving and advancing, the need to be able to write is decreasing. So if you're someone who just wants to learn how to read hiragana and katakana and not worry about writing, this is what you're going to do. So you're going to go to the browse section here. You're going to look on the left hand side for the Kana deck. So what you're going to do is that you're going to first click card. Yeah. And you're just going to sort your cards out. Yeah, so they're all ordered in terms of the card type. Now, as you can see here in the card column, it says Romaji to katakana, Romaji to katakana, Romaji to hiragana. Now, what Romaji is are just Romanization. It's just Roman characters, which is basically the alphabet. If you do not want to learn how to write hiragana and katakana, this is what the Romaji to katakana cards look like. It has the Romanization on the front, and it tells you, okay, katakana. What it's doing is testing your ability to recall the writing of the sound che. And then here you have che on the back. Now, if you do not want to learn how to write hiragana and katakana, what you're going to do is now you're going to highlight. You're going to click and hold, and then drag down with your mouse scroll, and you're going to highlight all of the Romaji to katakana and Romaji to hiragana flashcards. So you stop here where it starts to say katakana to Romaji, and then you right click and you click toggle suspend. What that will do now is that all of the writing cards are not going to pop up. They're not going to come up in the deck when you're revising them. This Kana deck has all the sounds that I spoke about in my video earlier. As you can see, it has all the additional sounds and all of the hiragana and katakana characters. So if I show you here, preview, it has nya.
Nya?
And it has the sound and it has the romanization. So, how you gonna study this deck is very simple. For those who care about writing and reading, obviously you won't suspend anything. You just leave everything as it is. So let's close this down. When it comes to studying, you set your amount of new cards you want to do every day, which I already taught you how to do in my Anki tutorial. And then yeah, you just start studying. You open up, study now. The first character here, it says ah. If you don't know how to pronounce it, you know, you click show answer, and then you'll have the stroke order and how to pronounce it. The thing I want you guys to know is that when it comes to learning how to pronounce the character, you don't focus on the romanization. Do not copy what it says here. This is just for guidance. What you should focus on imitating is the audio, not the romanization right here. Understood? So you click play, you hit and you copy that, okay? You click again. Okay, this is what. Let me pretend I don't know how to read this. Okay, how do you read this character? You click show answer.
Ki.
Oh, it's pronounced ki. You copy the audio. Okay, cool. Again, ku, you know, click again. I, ka. Simple, you see? U, e. And you go through this deck. So okay, this is a new card. Ke. Copy the audio. Listen to the audio, imitate the audio. Good. Ko. And so on. And you get through this whole deck until you've gone through all the flashcards in this deck. And then you should be able to, if you're constantly going through this deck every day, get all your new cards down to 0. Eventually you should finish all the new cards in the deck, and then all you'll be left with is due cards that you revise every day, and then keep up your ability to read and hopefully write Hiragana and Katakana if you care about writing Katakana and Hiragana. So yeah, just to show you some examples of what I was talking about earlier. So all those additional sounds, all of that, they're all inside this deck. So look at this, another one. Pure. You see? Mia. And everything, all the sounds are in here. So this deck is the ultimate deck. Getting through this if you get through all of this and memorize all of these flashcards, you should be able to be literate in Japanese in terms of Hiragana and Katakana. Maybe not kanji, because obviously you need to learn the kanji, but you should be able to read Japanese with furigana. So yeah, by watching this whole video, you should now be able to understand all the flashcards that come up in this deck and hopefully improve your reading ability. So that's it in terms of how to study Hiragana and Katakana.
Wait, don't go anywhere. One last thing I want to tell you guys is that in the description I have some useful resources. I have a website that shows every single Hiragana and Katakana character, and it gives you mnemonics and images that you can associate with those Hiragana and Katakana characters to help you memorize each of those characters. I also have a website which is called Take Kim's Guide, which will explain to you in more detail everything that I've explained to you right now, in case you didn't understand anything that I said.
That's all y'all need.
And one more last thing, I have homework for you guys. Your homework is very simple. Number 1, comment down below why you started learning Japanese. I want to know more about you guys and why you started learning Japanese. So yeah, comment below and I'll reply to some of your messages and so on. And number 2, let's go and get started on the Anki deck, innit? The Kana deck. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys in the next video, which will now hopefully be how to learn vocabulary and how to sentence mine and so on. So look forward to that. And yeah, ja, mata ne. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.